welcome to our second isolation video. And this one's a really gentle warmer to wake us up in the morning and get us ready for working from home or dealing with the kids. This is suitable for pregnant women as well. So first of all, let's inhale, drawing our chest forward and lifting our gaze up. And exhale, draw your belly in, push away from your knees with your hands and gaze down. Inhale, draw your chest and your head forward. And exhale back. Let's move 3 more times with our own breath. Inhaling as we come forward, pulling our hands on our knees, and then exhale as we push back, rounding our spine. So this is kind of like cat-cow, but from seated. And then return to a comfortable seated position. Now you may want to take a blanket underneath your sit bones just so you can sit a little bit higher, and then let's move the flesh off of our thighs so we can sit right on our sit bones. Have a look down at your crossed legs, and if you see that your left foot's on the inside, then switch them round. We tend to be creatures of habit, so we always sit the same way cross-legged, so try and make a conscious effort to mix it up which foot you put on the inside, just to bring a bit more balance to our hips. So now let's take one hand behind us, the other hand to opposite knee. Inhale to lengthen your torso and your spine, and then exhale to twist to the side. Hold here for 3 breaths. Inhale back to center, switching sides, lift on your inhale and exhale, twist. And inhale back to center. Now let's take our arms up as cactus arms. So our upper arm is parallel with the ground and our fingers are pointing upwards. Take a deep inhale and send your shoulder blades back to touch behind you, and then exhale, bring your elbows to meet so you feel your back spread behind you. Inhale, shoulder blades come to meet, and exhale, bringing our elbows together. Last time, inhale, and exhale. Bringing hands down to heart and bowing our head. Let's take 3 deep breaths. And then release your hands back down. One hand down to the mat, the other hand goes up towards the sky on an inhale, and then exhale, bend into your grounded hand, spin your bottom ribs up towards the top ribs, and take 3 breaths, really feeling your breath opening up these exposed ribs on your upper side. Then inhale, push through your grounded hand, come down on the other side. Another inhale to take your opposite arm up, and exhaling over to the other side, once again spinning your body away from the ground towards the ceiling, holding for 3 breaths. And pushing through our grounded hand, coming back up to seated. Let's take the soles of our feet together. Open your feet out like a book. Move the flesh off of your thighs again, just to give yourself a little bit of a forward tilt. And take your shoulder blades down and back. Take a deep inhale. And exhale, begin to hinge forward. So you might not come very far, and that's fine. Wherever your own point of resistance is, that's fine for you. So take your hands to the mat or to the ground in front of you and begin to lower yourself down. So you might come this far, that's absolutely fine. Or you might find that you're able to take your forearms to the ground and really lower yourself down. Wherever you are, hold for 3 breaths at your own natural point of resistance, encouraging and allowing our body to open. And then let's slowly work our hands back towards our feet to bring ourselves back up to seated. Let's scooch over, rolling onto our knees. So move your blanket aside for now, or you can put your blanket in place for your knees. So what we're going to do, step onto the blanket if you're using one, and then tuck your back toes. Bring your hips down onto your heels. Take your hands down to your thighs and tuck your chin just so your neck doesn't flop around. And let's begin to lean back, taking our weight onto our feet. And this might feel really intense for some people, really stretching the backs of our feet, but that's what we want, just to really wake up our feet. If you find that it's getting too much, feel free to just bring your hips off of your heels so that it's not as intense a stretch. But otherwise, see how long you can challenge yourself. Let's take 5 breaths here. Don't forget your core, really draw your belly in. Even if you're pregnant, you can still engage those deeper muscles to really draw your belly in towards your spine. 2 more breaths. And then come onto all fours and tap out your feet. Give your feet a little break now. Let's go back one more time. So tuck your toes, hands come to thighs, and leaning back. Holding for 3 breaths this time. Oh, I'm feeling this morning. And then coming forward, place your hands on the mat, tap out those feet. Well done, guys. Now this time, come back onto your knees. This time, keep your feet flat. So we're not tucking our toes, we're keeping them flat. Bring your hips down onto your heels. Take your hands behind you and lift your knees, stretching the top of our feet. Hold for 3 breaths. And then coming back onto all fours. Tap out those feet last time. Now, let's inhale, raising our chest and our head. And exhale, rounding our spine, pushing away from the mat with our hands. Step back a little bit. Inhale, raising your chest. And exhale, rolling in. Last time, inhale, head and chest come up. Exhale, folding in. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I'm going to move the blanket out of my way. Okay, so come onto your all fours. You've got your knees below your hips, your shoulders are above your wrists, and now send your left foot out behind you and then turn it so that it's flat on the mat. Keep your right knee on the ground and then lift your left arm up. So we're coming to a half side plank. Nice and gently, nice straight left leg, pushing that left foot into the mat. Holding for 3 breaths. You can keep your gaze straight ahead or you can look up towards your outstretched hand. Then take that left hand back down, turn your left foot and return your left knee to the ground. Let's switch sides, so your right leg goes out behind you, turn that right foot so it's flat on the mat, and then lift your right arm up towards the sky. Take your hand back down and bring your knee back underneath your hips. Then let's tuck our toes, push yourself into a baby downward facing dog. So nice soft knees, work on taking your hips really high. Hold for 3 breaths. Bring your knees back down to the mat. Exhale, bend your elbows. And inhale, straighten your arms, coming to a cow. Push yourself into downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Then drop your knees to the mat. Exhale, bending your arms. And then inhale, coming to our cow. Then come back and sit on your knees for a moment again. So the next part that we're going to do, you can use a prop. So I'm using a bolster here. You could also use a pillow, but it's just having something here just to make it a bit of a softer landing and to prevent us having to go down too close to the ground, particularly if we're pregnant. So turn to face the long edge of your mat. You've got your bolster long ways at a right angle to you, and then allow one hip to be against the bolster. Take that leg, your bottom leg, and take the calf in line with the long edge of your mat. Take your top leg and your calf in line with the short edge of your mat. So you've got this kind of 90-degree box that you're making with your legs. See how that feels? If that feels too intense, then feel free to stack the top leg on top of the bottom leg. Whatever feels good for you. Then take your hands either side of the bolster, rotate your body so that your belly and your chest will come down to lie on your pillow or on your bolster, and slowly lower down to the prop, taking your gaze in the same direction as your knees. Allow the props to hold you, close your eyes and soften your shoulders and your hands as you surrender to the mat. Let's stay here for 10 breaths. Then when you're ready, turn your gaze back towards the bolster and begin to push yourself gently back up to seated. And now let's give our hips a little stretch. So turn to face the back of your mat, take your hands behind you, and your feet are as long as the mat. Begin to windshield wipe your legs from side to side. And then come up to seated again. So now we're going to do the other side. So you can just take down your knees on the other side, but just so that I can show you, I'm moving my bolster to the opposite end of the mat. So I've taken my opposite hip up against the bolster. Once again, my calf is in line with the long edge of the mat, and my other leg is in line with the short edge of the mat. Let's turn to face the bolster. Once again, lowering down gently, taking my gaze in the same direction as my knees, softening my shoulders, my elbows, and my hands, and allowing myself to sink onto the props, holding here for 10 breaths. And really allowing yourself to enjoy this restorative pose. Seeing how you can completely relax your body. This is a lovely way to reduce stress and a great way to prepare for labor if you're pregnant. Learning how to let go of tension so that your body can be soft. 5 more breaths. Then when we're ready to come up, let's turn our gaze towards the bolster. Gently ease yourself back up to seated. All right. So the last thing we're going to do, you can stay in this last pose for as long as comfortable for you. So you can either take your pillow or your bolster flat on the mat, as you can see now, or you can take a block or a big book if you've got something like a dictionary or an encyclopedia, or even a box of some kind of food. That will work as well. Just place it underneath the bolster just so we've got a bit of an incline. And what's nice about having this prop here is that if you're pregnant, it means that you can still go on your back because you're at an incline rather than flat on your back. So it's really nice if you're in your later stages of pregnancy, and nice for everyone else as well. So let's turn and take our lower back right up against that bolster. Take your feet flat on the mat, hip distance apart, and your hands beside you. And then gently lower yourself back just so you don't slide off the pillow. Resting our forearms on the ground. And when you feel comfortable, then you can extend your legs straight. Or you can take your legs to Baddha Konasana, so it's touching the soles of your feet together and allowing your knees to sink towards the ground. So see what feels comfortable for you. Keeping our legs with our feet stacked, keeping our legs long, or having our legs in that butterfly pose, that Baddha Konasana. Wherever you are, let's take our hands to our belly and spend as long as is comfortable here, breathing in and feeling your belly rising up into your hands, and breathing out, feeling it sink back down and soften. Breathing in, belly lifts and expands, and breathing out, it sinks and softens. If you want to do a final stretch with your chest, you could take your hands holding on to either elbow and open your chest by taking your arms overhead. So see how that feels as well. If that feels good, stay in this position. If not, feel free to take your hands back to belly, or perhaps even resting on your thighs or on the ground. Whatever's comfortable for you, and stay here for as long as you like. When you're ready to come up, let's draw our knees together, plant our feet on the ground, and then you can either roll to one side to come up, which is probably best if you're pregnant, or you can tuck your chin and gently push yourself up to seated. Finishing off our practice, coming back to cross legs, taking our hands to heart, and taking 3 deep breaths really to collect our practice, collect that calm energy that you're creating for yourself. And namaste.